Have you ever wondered what truly makes someone regret leaving you? Not just a fleeting thought, but a deep, gut-wrenching realization that walking away was the worst mistake they ever made. They thought they could replace you, that you were just another chapter in their story, and that your absence wouldn't shake their world. But here's what they never saw coming: the silence, the emptiness, and the slow creeping realization that life without you isn't as fulfilling as they imagined. They believed they were walking towards something better, but in reality, they were walking away from the best thing they ever had: you. Now, here's the part most people don't understand. Regret isn't something you chase, it's something you create. Not through mind games or revenge, but by becoming so strong, so self-sufficient, and so unshakable that they have no choice but to look back and think, "I was a fool to let them go." The great philosopher Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Heartbreak is that friction. Most see it as a wound, but what if you saw it as a forge? A place where the fire burns away your weaknesses, transforming your pain into power. Instead of just healing, you evolve. While they're out chasing distractions, trying to fill the void, you are refining yourself, mind, body, and soul. You are building a strength that doesn't just move on, but rises above. And here's the truth: the moment will come. The day when they realize what they lost, when they see you thriving, unbothered, and untouchable, radiating a power they never thought you had. That's when regret will hit them, deep, crushing, inescapable. But here's the twist: by then, you won't care. This was never about making them regret losing you. It was about turning their absence into the greatest advantage of your life. Today, we're not just talking about moving on. We're talking about rising so high that your past can't even reach you anymore. We're about to dive into 10 principles that will reshape your mindset, rebuild your confidence, and make you unforgettable. But before we begin, take a second to reclaim your power. Hit that like button right now, not for me, but for yourself. Every small action fuels your transformation. Subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a step on this journey of strength and wisdom. And now, drop a comment below. Write these 3 words: "I am worthy." Let the world know that you are stepping into your power. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to share something truly powerful, the one mindset shift that will make you so resilient, so magnetic, so untouchable, that not only will they regret leaving you, but they'll feel grateful they did. I have a challenge for you, a single question that will change how you see everything, a question that will redefine your future. But you'll have to stick around until the end to hear it. So take a deep breath, feel the fire inside you, and repeat after me: "I am unshakable." Say it, own it, because today is the day you rise. Let's begin. 1. Stop chasing shadows. Let them feel your absence. When someone walks away from you, the instinct is to run after them, to prove your worth, to remind them of what they had, to make them see that they're making a mistake. But here's the truth: chasing is the fastest way to make them certain they were right to leave. The more you run after them, the more they pull away. The harder you try to bring them back, the more you show that you are willing to shrink yourself just to fit back into their world. Desperation is never attractive. It doesn't make them second-guess their decision. If anything, it justifies it. Think of a king or queen abandoning their throne to chase after someone walking out of their castle. Would that inspire admiration? Would that demand respect? The moment they step down from their place of power, they become just another lost soul begging for attention. That is exactly what happens when you chase someone who's already decided to leave. If they truly saw your worth, would they have walked away in the first place? If they genuinely valued you, would you have to convince them to stay? Real value doesn't beg for recognition. Diamonds don't beg to be picked up. The sun doesn't ask for permission to shine. So why should you reduce yourself, handing them the power they so easily threw away? A wise person once said, "The moment you feel like you have to prove your worth to someone is the moment to walk away." Your worth isn't something to be debated, negotiated, or fought for. It simply is. If they don't see it now, they will. Only when you stop making it so easy for them to take you for granted. But what if they forget about you? What if they move on for good? That's the fear, isn't it? Here's a hard pill to swallow. If someone can walk away from you and never look back, they were never yours to begin with. They were only passing through, meant to teach you a lesson, not to stay. But if they truly mattered, if what you shared was real, then they will feel your absence like a missing piece in a puzzle. People don't regret losing someone who begs. They regret losing someone who becomes stronger, wiser, and better without them. That's the power of silence. That's the power of restraint. It's like standing on the shore watching a ship sail away. You don't run into the water trying to swim after it. You stand tall, let it go, and eventually, when they realize the seas aren't as calm as they expected, they will look back for the lighthouse they left behind. As Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And that's the essence of this lesson. You can't control their decision to leave, but you can control how you respond to it. Do you let it break you, or do you use it as fuel? Do you let it define your worth, or do you use it to build something greater? The moment you stop chasing, you reclaim your power. You break the cycle of dependency. You shift the balance back into your hands, and that is when their regret begins to grow. Not because you forced it, but because your absence does the work for you. Imagine them thinking they had you wrapped around their finger, only to realize you were never theirs to control. Imagine them expecting you to beg, only to be met with silence. That silence is louder than any words you could ever say. You are not someone's backup plan. You are not an option they can reconsider when life gets lonely. You are the prize, the standard, the one they should have fought to keep. And if they failed to see that, let them sit with their own blindness. Let them feel the weight of their decision. Let them regret on their own. Because the only way they will ever truly understand what they lost is when they see you thriving, untouched, unbothered, and better than ever. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If your thoughts are constantly centered around how to win them back, you're giving them free rent in your mind while they walk freely through life. But when you shift your thoughts to self-growth, to building something unshakable, you set yourself free, and that freedom is what makes them look back. That's what makes them wonder if they made a mistake, and by the time they do, you'll be too far ahead to care. 2. Take back the crown. Make your life the priority. When someone walks away, it feels like the ground beneath you has cracked open. Everything you built with them, your plans, your routines, your future, suddenly disappears. It's disorienting, like being lost in the middle of the ocean without a compass. But here's the truth most people never see. This isn't a loss, it's an opportunity. A chance to rebuild stronger, wiser, and on your own terms. Pain has a way of exposing what really matters. When they leave, you're left with a choice. Do you keep holding on to a life that no longer exists, or do you step forward and create one that's better than ever? This is the moment to reset. Ask yourself, what have you been neglecting? What parts of your life were sacrificed just to keep them happy? Were your dreams put on hold? Did you rearrange your schedule to fit theirs, only to be left wondering where your own life went? The mistake most people make after a breakup is keeping their priorities the same, still centering their world around someone who is no longer there. But imagine flipping the script. Instead of spending your days wondering if they miss you, you start focusing on your own transformation. You take back your energy, redirect your focus, and build a life so fulfilling that regret isn't something you chase. It's something you cause without even trying. Nothing makes someone regret leaving more than seeing the person they walked away from become stronger without them. Think of your life like a kingdom. For too long they sat on the throne, dictating your time, your emotions, your priorities. But they left, and now it's time for you to take the crown back. No kingdom flourishes when its ruler is distracted by the ghosts of the past. A true ruler doesn't dwell on what's lost. They expand, they build, they rise, and that's exactly what you must do. Invest in yourself, your mind, your body, your passions. Maybe you gave up things you once loved because the relationship demanded too much of you. Now is the time to rediscover them. Maybe you let your health slide because your energy was spent keeping the relationship afloat. Now is the time to take it back. The greatest revenge isn't anger, isn't words, isn't proving a point. It's building a life so solid and so powerful that they can't help but see what they lost. But what if you don't feel ready? What if the pain is too much to move forward? That's normal. The past has a way of pulling you back, whispering that what you lost was the best you'd ever have. But that's a lie. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." If your thoughts are still revolving around them, you are keeping yourself trapped in a story that is already over. Shift your thoughts, and your life will follow. Here's the real kicker. When they see you thriving, they will feel it. You won't have to say a word. They will watch from a distance as you rebuild, as you rise, as you become someone they never expected you to be. And that's when regret creeps in. Not because you tried to make them feel it, but because your absence, your glow, your new sense of purpose will speak louder than anything you could ever say. People don't regret losing someone who waits around. They regret losing someone who moves on and becomes unreachable. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And that's what this is about, not wasting another second on what's already gone. You have one life, one shot at becoming the person you were meant to be. Why let their absence dictate your future? Take the pain and turn it into fuel. Build something out of it. Become the person you were too distracted to become when they were in your life. Because here's the truth. The only way they will ever truly regret losing you is if they see you become someone they can never have again. So step forward, redefine your priorities, make your life the priority, and let them watch from a distance, realizing too late that they were never the center of your world. You were. 3. Disappear like smoke. Let them feel the void. When someone leaves, they expect a reaction. Maybe they think you'll cry, argue, or beg them to reconsider. Maybe they believe you'll get angry, lash out, or try to make them jealous. They expect chaos. They expect emotion. They expect proof that they still have power over you. But what if you gave them nothing? No reaction, no outburst, just silence. Imagine how unsettling that would be. They were ready for fireworks, some grand display of pain or desperation, but instead they get an empty stage. They look back, waiting for the storm to come, but the skies stay clear. And that's when the regret starts creeping in. People thrive on control. They want to believe they matter enough to shake you, that their absence will leave you gasping for air. But the moment you refuse to give them that satisfaction, the balance shifts. Instead of you drowning in emotion, they're left questioning everything. Did they ever really care? Were they already over you? How are you this calm? That silence, your silence, starts echoing in their mind louder than any words ever could. Think of a candle. When you blow it out, the flame doesn't fight back, it just disappears. Suddenly the room is darker, colder. That's what happens when you stop reacting. You don't give them a dramatic explosion. You just remove your presence, your energy, your light. And once they're left alone in the dark, they will feel your absence more than they ever felt your presence. But let's be real. Staying calm isn't easy when your emotions are screaming for an outlet. It takes discipline, patience, and a mindset shift. The moment you feel the urge to react, remind yourself of a simple truth. You are in control, not them. No one deserves the power to dictate your emotions, especially someone who chose to walk away. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your strength is in your restraint. The less you react, the more power you hold." But what if they think you never cared? What if they move on faster? That's the fear, isn't it? Here's the reality. If someone truly mattered to you, your absence will matter to them. People expect reactions because they want validation. They want proof that they mattered, that their choices affected you. When you deny them that, they are forced to sit with the uncertainty, and uncertainty is a powerful thing. It makes people rethink, replay, and regret. Imagine a game of chess. The moment you make an emotional move, you expose your strategy, giving your opponent control of the board. But if you stay composed and calculated, refusing to play into their hands, you force them to second-guess every move they made. That's exactly what happens when you master non-reactivity. While they expect a dramatic response, you leave them waiting, wondering, doubting. Think of yourself as a deep, still ocean. On the surface, everything is calm, collected, unshaken. Beneath, there might be waves, movement, emotion, but that's for you to process privately. To them, you remain untouchable. That's the energy that leaves an imprint, the kind that makes them wonder if walking away was their biggest mistake. If they ever come back to test you, to poke and provoke just to see if they can still get a rise out of you, don't give them what they're looking for. Stay indifferent. Stay unmoved. Because the moment you react, you validate their importance in your life. But when you don't, that's when the regret solidifies. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Every time you pause instead of reacting, you reclaim a piece of your power. Every time you choose silence over an emotional outburst, you strengthen your position. Non-reactivity isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about proving that your emotions belong to you, not to the person who left. And that, more than anything, is what will leave them wondering if they made the worst decision of their life. Fourth, outgrow the ghosts. Make their absence meaningless. When someone leaves, it's easy to believe they took a part of your happiness with them, that life will never feel as full, bright, or meaningful without them. But here's the truth. The happiness you felt wasn't because of them, it was because of you. They were a part of your story, but they were never the author of your joy. And now you get to prove it. People who walk away expect to leave behind a void. They assume their absence will shake you, that you'll be left lost, struggling to find meaning without them. But imagine this. They look back, expecting to see you broken, only to realize you're not just fine. You're thriving. You're not sitting around reminiscing about what was. You're too busy living, building, creating a life that makes their presence irrelevant. That's the moment regret starts creeping in. Think of your life as a masterpiece. Before, they might have been a color in your painting, maybe even a dominant one, but they were never the whole picture. Now you have the chance to pick up the brush and paint something even more beautiful without them. Maybe it's a new career path, a new adventure, or simply learning to enjoy the silence that once felt unbearable. When you fill your life with meaning, you make it clear to the world and to them that they were never the source of your fulfillment. You were. But what if you still miss them? What if you still wish they were here? That's natural. The mind clings to what's familiar, to the comfort of shared memories. But every time you feel that pull, remind yourself that your happiness does not live in the past. It exists in the choices you make today. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." How much time have you already given to someone who chose to walk away? How much longer will you let their absence dictate your emotions, your purpose, your future? Every moment you spend wishing things were different is a moment stolen from the life you could be building. Think of it this way. Imagine someone leaving a beautiful garden. They assume that because they're gone, the flowers will wither, the beauty will fade. But instead, the garden grows wilder, more vibrant than ever. That's what your life should be, a place that continues to flourish with or without them. And here's the irony. When they see you thriving, when they realize you didn't need them to live a full and meaningful life, that's when the regret starts eating at them. Not because you wanted them to regret it, but because they finally understand what they lost. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." True fulfillment isn't about collecting people, chasing love, or seeking validation. It's about needing less, being at peace with yourself, and finding joy in the life you create. Instead of mourning their departure, celebrate the space they left behind. Use it to build, to grow, to rediscover parts of yourself that may have been forgotten. The goal isn't to simply move on, it's to move forward. Create a life so rich, so satisfying, that their absence feels like nothing more than a footnote in your story. Because in the end, the real regret isn't yours to carry. It's theirs. When they realize you didn't just survive without them, you thrived. 5. Light the fire. Make them see what they lost. There's something magnetic about a person who is fully alive, someone who moves with purpose, who wakes up with a fire inside them, something that drives them beyond any relationship. Passion is the force that makes you unforgettable. It keeps you from fading into the background of someone else's life. When you have something that excites you, that pulls you forward, you become someone that no one, not even the ones who walked away, can ignore. They might have left thinking they were your world, assuming that without them you'd be lost. But what happens when they look back and see you completely immersed in something that lights you up? When they realize that instead of drowning in regret, you've poured your energy into something greater, that's when the regret begins to settle in, not because you tried to make them feel it, but because you proved effortlessly that they were just a chapter in your story, not the entire book. There's a reason people are drawn to those with passion. Think about it. How many times have you admired someone, not because of how they look or what they have, but because of the fire they carry, the way they talk about their art, their work, their goals, the things that make them feel alive? That kind of energy is impossible to ignore. It commands attention, captivates, and most importantly, creates a sense of value that isn't tied to any single person. But what if you don't have a passion? What if you don't know what excites you? Then this is the time to find it, to experiment, to throw yourself into something new, something unfamiliar, something that challenges you. Your passion doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be yours. Maybe it's art, maybe it's fitness, maybe it's building something from the ground up, or chasing a dream you once put on hold. The key is to create a life so engaging, so fulfilling, that it doesn't revolve around the presence or absence of any one person. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." How much time have you wasted waiting for someone else to give your life meaning? How much longer will you wait before you take control? Passion is what makes life worth living. It is the force that keeps you moving when everything else feels uncertain. And when you find it, when you embrace it fully, you become the kind of person who doesn't chase people. People chase you. And here's where it really stings for them, when they see you thriving, not just existing, but truly engaged in something that excites you. They'll realize they never had the power they thought they did. They weren't the source of your joy. You were. They were just lucky enough to witness it for a while, and now they're on the outside looking in, realizing that while they may have left, they were never the thing that kept you burning. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." True fulfillment doesn't come from another person. It comes from having something in your life that keeps your fire alive, something no one can take from you. That's what passion does. It makes you unshakable, unstoppable, untouchable. So let them watch. Let them see what they lost, not because you wanted revenge, not because you needed validation, but because you chose to keep moving, to keep building, to keep living. And that is something they will never forget. 6. Set the standard. Make them realize they never deserved you. When someone leaves, the first thought that creeps in is often, "Was I not enough?" The mind plays tricks, making you believe that if you had been different, softer, quieter, easier to please, maybe they would have stayed. But here's the hard truth. It was never about you being enough. It was about them never being worthy of what you brought to the table. Most people, when faced with rejection, lower their standards. They shrink themselves, thinking that by being less, they'll become more desirable. But the opposite is true. The moment you elevate your standards, you force the world to rise to meet you. That's when everything changes. Imagine a store selling luxury watches. Do they beg customers to buy? Do they offer discounts to convince people of their worth? No, they stand firm, knowing that those who recognize quality will come willingly. You must do the same. Stop negotiating your value. Stop entertaining people who don't meet your expectations. Stop making space for those who only offer half of what you deserve. And here's the irony. The moment you do this, the ones who took you for granted start to notice. Suddenly, they're watching from a distance, realizing that the version of you they once had access to no longer exists. They assumed you'd always be available, always willing to bend, always waiting. But now you're out of reach. Socrates once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Have you taken a moment to examine your life, your relationships, your choices? Have you been accepting less than you deserve just to keep the peace? Have you been tolerating inconsistency, confusion, and mediocrity because you were afraid of losing them? If so, it's time to stop. Here's a question. What do you really want? Not just in love, but in every part of your life. The way you answer that question determines what you attract. If you settle for breadcrumbs, that's all you'll ever get. But if you demand the whole feast, you'll find yourself surrounded by people willing to give it. The world gives you what you believe you're worthy of. So what have you been believing? Raising your standards doesn't mean becoming arrogant. It means recognizing that you are the rarest of rare. It means choosing quality over quantity, substance over temporary thrills. It means building a life so rich in purpose, passion, and depth that only those who truly deserve a seat at your table get one. And here's where the regret seeps in for them. They once had access to you, to your kindness, your loyalty, your presence. But now they see you surrounded by people who recognize what they didn't. They see you investing in yourself, growing, glowing, becoming someone they can no longer reach. Epictetus once said, Know first who you are and then adorn yourself accordingly. When you truly know your worth, your life starts to reflect it. You stop begging, you stop chasing, you stop waiting for people to appreciate you. And when you do, that's when they start to wish they had never left. So stand tall, raise the bar, and make them realize that losing you wasn't just a mistake. It was the moment they lost access to something they will never find again. Tatum. Risa so high. Let success be their regret. Nothing stings more than watching someone you left behind rise higher than ever. When they walked away, they might have believed they were leaving behind something ordinary. But what happens when they look back and see that you've turned your life into something extraordinary? What happens when they realize they weren't the loss? You were? This isn't about revenge. It's not about proving anything to them. It's about proving to yourself that you are always capable of more, that their absence didn't break you, it built you. And now your achievements speak louder than any words ever could. Think of it like a tree. They walked away thinking they had cut you down, but instead of withering, your roots grew deeper, your branches stretched further, and now you stand taller than ever. Success, growth, and self-improvement are the best ways to rewrite the narrative. Not by chasing, not by trying to make them jealous, but by living a life that makes them wonder why they ever let you go. Seneca once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Every step you take toward your goals, every new skill you learn, every challenge you overcome, it all adds up to something bigger. And when they see it, when they realize you became this version of yourself without them, the regret will settle in. But shouldn't you stay humble? Won't this seem like you're just trying to show off? Here's the truth. Celebrating your achievements isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. Too often people dim their own light, afraid of looking like they're trying too hard. But why hide your progress? Why silence your own success just to avoid making someone uncomfortable? Think of an artist who creates a masterpiece but refuses to display it. Does that make sense? No. Your growth, your success, your evolution, they deserve to be seen, not for validation, not for attention, but because you earned it. Imagine them scrolling through life, expecting you to be the same person they left behind, only to see you thriving. Maybe you've picked up a new skill, started a new career, traveled somewhere you always dreamed of. Maybe your confidence shines in a way it never did before, and suddenly they realize they left before the best chapter of your life even started. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one." Stop thinking about how they'll perceive your progress. Stop wondering if they'll notice. Just become so undeniably great that they can't ignore it. Success is the best kind of closure. It doesn't need words, it doesn't need confrontation, it simply exists. And when they finally realize they lost someone who was destined for greatness, all they will be left with is the echo of their own regret. 8. Let strength speak for you. Social media is a battlefield for perception. It can be a powerful tool or a destructive weapon depending on how you use it. When someone walks away, the temptation is to turn your profile into a stage, posting cryptic messages, emotional lyrics, or forced happiness just to make them notice. But here's the truth. Real power isn't in what you post, it's in what you don't. They expect to see hints of heartbreak, signs of struggle, proof that their absence left a hole in your life. But what happens when they scroll and find nothing? No desperate attempts to get their attention, no bitter captions aimed in their direction, no trace of longing, regret, or sadness. Just a quiet, unbothered presence moving forward without them. That silence is deafening. It forces them to wonder, did I even matter? How are they handling this so well? Epictetus once said, If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That's exactly what happens when you react impulsively online. The moment you post out of emotion, you give them control over your narrative. You show them that they still influence you. But when you choose discipline over reaction, when you carefully curate the story you tell the world, you become untouchable. But does that mean you should stop posting altogether? The goal isn't to disappear, it's to be intentional. Imagine them scrolling, expecting to see a version of you that's hurting, only to find someone who is thriving. A single post of you genuinely enjoying life, a new passion, an exciting trip, a moment of pure joy, is more powerful than 1,000 words. Think of your online presence like a movie trailer. A great trailer doesn't give everything away. It doesn't scream for attention. It shows just enough to intrigue, to captivate, to leave people wanting more. That's how you handle social media. A glimpse, not an explosion. Let them wonder what's happening behind the scenes. Let their imagination do the work. But here's the mistake most people make. They overdo it. They flood their feed with updates, trying too hard to appear happy, thinking that the more they post, the more they'll prove they've moved on. But real confidence doesn't need constant proof. The strongest statement you can make is to live well, not to broadcast every step of the journey. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That means not stooping to games, not playing into expectations, not letting emotions dictate actions. You are not in competition with them. Your life isn't a show meant to make them jealous. It's a masterpiece being created for yourself. And that's what will get to them the most. Not a bitter post, not an attempt to make them second-guess their decision, but the realization that you are no longer performing for them, that you are living not for their reaction, not for their regret, but for yourself. So let them scroll, let them wonder, let them see just enough to know that their absence didn't break you, it freed you. And by the time they understand what they lost, you'll be too far ahead to care.